various whips. I'll speak to the various whips to excuse you.
We needed 5 yesterday.
You know, Honorable Skozat, so you don't know what I see when I'm this side. Eh? You must look at your faces when I'm close to 1 o'clock and there's a sitting at 2. And there's a sitting at 2. I can see the looks. The looks that members give me, like, hey, when yeah. Good morning, colleagues. I am happy that I have not seen you in a while. Yes, so it's not an inside joke actually. So what I have said is that you know, I see him so often here in Parliament that I worry he doesn't have time to investigate. So so I am going to make sure that I don't see him for a while, you know, and you know, after today, again, now I don't see you for a while, you know, so that you can go and investigate. So we are going to start just now. We're just waiting for, I think there's one member or two that are not here. So just take a few minutes to get ready. Your presentation is loaded and everything. I just don't see it here. It's gonna come up. But that PowerPoint presentation. So we're dealing with 3 municipalities and metros and a metro today. It's OR Tambo, district municipality. It is the city of Ethekwini. And what's the third one, Sisi? Oh, Ngaka Modiri in the northwest. Yes, in the northwest. So just to give a sense, we kind of sought the counsel of the Auditor General to say, where do you think we should look, where there's AG issues and also SIU issues. I mean, not in the case of all of them. So we're going to have SIU and then we'll have the AG as well, so that when the next oversight period comes, we can make it as useful as possible. There's local elections coming up, and it's important that we focus on all the appropriate spheres in our work. So, okay, honorable members, good morning. I'm sorry we started a little bit late. I had a technical issue that relates to my limited computer knowledge, so I apologize for being a bit late. Members of the Special Investigating Unit, thank you very much for being here to brief us on this work. Thank you for sending the presentation through ahead of time as well. We really appreciate it. We see each other so often that the early part of the presentation where you tell us about the SIU and how you do, I think we can skip it. I have given the members an exam on that part of the presentation, and they passed it with flying colors. They can now say it off by heart. So if you can go straight to the background behind these investigations and then get into the meat, we'd appreciate it. We have until 1 o'clock. So we have to use our time judiciously so that we get through and the members get to ask all the questions that they want to ask, so that we are properly equipped. But thank you very much. I will hand over to you to do the introductions and then to get into it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you, Honorable Member. Thanks for the invitation. My name is Leonard Lekgeto, and I'm the Chief Operation Officer. Maybe before I introduce the colleagues, I need to offer an apology for Advocate Mutibi. He's currently traveling, so he won't be with us today. But with me, I'm with, on my right side, I'm with Mr. Mike Goya. He's the current acting provincial head for Eastern Cape province of the SIU. And on my left, I'm with Nosipo Jama. She's currently the head of investigation in KZN. So that's the three of us that will be doing the presentation. I'll do the presentation and they will assist in the question because they are in the province, they know what happened to the investigation. Thank you, Chair. As you have indicated, I'll skip all these other slides that we normally deal with. We'll start immediately with the OR Tambo District Municipality Proclamation, which was issued in 2022. Then in terms of the mandate, the investigation, we've divided the investigation in different focus area. And the focus area one, look at the procurement process which was followed. And in terms of the procurement process followed, the findings are as follow. The And the SIU was not provided with the closing of the tender register and therefore could not verify the names and the value of the tender submitted. And the SIU was not provided with the appointment letter of some of the members of the BEC committee, which said on the 24th of May 2018. And according to the minutes, 10 bids were received, including the Velisa consortium. 6 bids were found to be responsive by the BEC and were evaluated for functionality. Velisa consortium quoted 70.2 million and was not the cheapest. The SIU identifies some discrepancy in the evaluation of the Velisa consortium bids, where 2 members score 1 bid 0 for approach and methodology, whereas the bidder had approach and methodology in their bid documents. Velisa consortium became the only bid to pass the functionality evaluation and score above the required 80 points and was recommended for appointment. The BEC recommended that Velisa consortium be awarded a tender to the value of 70.2 million. And mind you, initial tender was budgeted at 20 million. The BAC recommended that Velisa consortium be appointed on a call-down basis instead of a bid price. though the appointment letter signed by the municipal manager on the 7th of July 2018 indicated that the service provider was appointed on a call-down basis. The service level agreement between the municipality and Irregular consortium was to the value of the bid amount and not on a call-down basis. The SLA had an extra, that is the pricing schedule containing specific service to be rendered by Irregular consortium. The SIU established that there was a contract of employment between the municipality and Irregular consortium, wherein one employee was permanently placed in the office of the MM as an executive assistant. Then in terms of focus area number 2, where we look at the payments, and the finding are as follow. The value of the contract with Irregular was 70.2 million, and Irregular consortium consisted of Irregular consortium, which owned 55.6%, and Lorisho, which owned 23%, and V3 consortium, which owned 21.2%. And according to the consortium agreement, a new bank account was opened for the processing of the funds from the tender, and the municipality deposited all our funds to this net bank partner, Irregular consortium bank account. As soon as the SIU discovered that there were irregularity with the SLS, the SIU wrote to the municipality advising them not to process about 13 million, which the municipality agreed, and the SIU has however discovered that to date 70.1 million was paid to Irregular consortium, and the SIU has analyzed the invoice amounting to 54.1 million. And also in terms of the payments to the consortium partners, for the duration of the project, V3 consortium engineering only received 2 payments totaling 117,000, and Irregular consortium received into their ABSA and net bank account payments totaling 19.2 million for the periods between 19 October 2018 to 15 June 2022. Lorisho received into their bank FNB bank account payments totaling 2.4 million during the period from 29 November 2018 to 14 October 2020. Lazola Media received payments totaling 13 million during the period between September to November 2020, and Lazola Media was an entity owned by one of the employees of Irregular consortium consulting that was tasked to manage all the events of the Irregular consortium. And in terms of payment to other service provider, the SIU found that the municipality paid 2 million for a boxing tournament that happened before the SLA came into effect. And the SIU found evidence that Koboni boxing tournament was instructed to submit the invoice to Irregular consortium, and the money was processed under the SLA, even though it was not part of the SLA. Payments to EDMS, the municipality paid Irregular consortium 560,000 for the electronic data management system, and the SIU found 5 invoices that were paid to various service providers amounting to 7.2 million, which were said to be historical debt, and these were paid using the SLA. 2 of these invoices were for the IDP, which was actually held virtually. What it meant, Chair, was that they were using the SLA with the consortium to pay all other entities which were not even related to the services of which the Irregular was appointed to, like the boxing tournament. In terms of the payments made under the SLA, according to the SLA, there were 5 categories under which invoices could be made, which was events management, contracts, financial management, spatial and data analytics. The SIU found that the majority of the invoice amounting to 19.3 million were under the events category. 10% management fee. SIU found 42 invoices amounting to 2.3 million, had 10% fee added thereto as a management or disbursement or payment handling fee, meaning that the consortium were also adding 10% into the invoices as the management fee whenever they submit invoice to the municipality. Then the third focus area, which focused on the corruption and fraud, the SIU investigation revealed that one municipal official received 120,000 from a service provider, and the SIU is finalizing the investigation into allegation that the service provider bought a motor vehicle that is being used by a municipal official. Details of the motor vehicles is known to the SIU. We're currently wrapping up the investigation regarding that motor vehicles. Then in terms of the summary of the outcome, as you can see, several matters before the court. The SIU is preparing evidence for referrals to Civil Litigation Case Assessment Committee to assess possibility of referring a civil case to the Special Tribunal to set the contract aside for the possible recovery of 54.1 million that has been paid through this contract. And in terms of other remedial action, we have referred 11 disciplinary referral to the municipality, and we have referred 6 NPA, which is criminal referrals to NPA, and we have referred 7 administrative referrals to SARS for tax issue. And currently, we are busy reviewing the presidential report. And in terms of general observation, the municipal official used the SLA as a vehicle to enrich themselves, their friends and family and relatives, and a number of payments or contracts were done via third-party subcontracting where no municipal process were not followed. SIU faced challenge in obtaining documents for the investigation, and there has been a number of personnel changing position which made it difficult to assign responsibility for certain transactions. The SIU observed that a number of witnesses were afraid to provide evidence or information for fear of victimization from their supervisor. This was escalated to the mayor, who promised to do a follow-up. And the investigation currently is ongoing. It's almost at the tail end, where we hope that by the 15th of December, we'll be done with this investigation. The next municipality is also still under OR Tambo District Municipality. This is a new proclamation which was issued this year. This is R172 of 2024.
Sorry, can I say, I just want to be sure that the members kind of follow properly, right, where we are so far. And before we move on to the next municipality, okay, right? And what I would like to ask you that you do is just do a little bit of scene setting, you know, around these various service providers and what the sort of the different how the different relationships work, if you can do that. So just try and describe the thing in your own in your own words, so that we follow properly. I don't want us to get lost, so that later on when we ask questions, we ask them in context. You get what I'm saying? Yes, please, yeah. So if you were to tell it to us, you know, without the slides, what, you know, how would you describe it?
No, thank you, Chair. I'll do it, and I'll ask my colleagues to finalize it. What happened is that the municipality went out on a tender in order to appoint the service provider to provide them with a strategic with the establishment of the project management office. And during that process, they went through tender, and there were several companies or service providers that tendered, and out of that, they managed to choose one service provider, which is Velisa. Then it was a consortium, and that consortium consisted of 3 companies. I'm trying to check their names here. And those three companies, they signed an SLA with the municipality. And initially, when the municipality went out on a tender, I think the budget for the tender was 20 million. But through the bids which was submitted, the consortium quoted 70.2 million, even though they were not the lowest in terms of the tender, but they end up being appointed. So that's what happened. So during the process on terms of delivery, there were a lot of invoices that came through this SLA, which was signed with this consortium, of which some of the work which they was paid was not for in relation to the SLA. Like, for example, the boxing tournament that took place, the municipality told the hosting to submit invoice to the consortium. Then the consortium managed to get the invoice via the SLA that they had with the municipality to the municipality. So that's how it was. Like the SLA that they had with this consortium was a vehicle for them to able to use it in order to get all the services which were not even part and parcel of the scope of this tender, where they've paid a lot of money to it. And based on the investigation, we found irregularity in the tender process, which was followed, whereby we also found a corruption where one official received money from the service provider, and they also bought a car for one official, of which we could see that this really was clear a vehicle which was used for the municipal official so that they can able to get money out of the municipality using the so-called establishment of the project management office. I'm not sure, I'll ask my colleagues to add if I've left anything.
Good morning, Chair and Committee. Yes, Ayavelisa Consortium was made of Ayavelisa Consulting, Lorisho at 23%, and V3 Engineers at 21%. You will notice in our presentation, we presented that V3 only got 112,000 out of the 70 million, and you can calculate where is the 23%. Now, they only attended one meeting, the first introduction meeting with the municipality. That's the only thing they have done. Yet, if you look at the schedule of items that were covered in the SLA, there's a lot of engineering work that they needed to be consulting on, but they were only just to be there to make sure that the tender is won. Now, Ayavelsa Consortium, we said we're not the cheapest. Out of the 10 tenders bids that were received, they went into functionality evaluation. There were 70 million, number 5 was 80 million, number 6 was 85 million, but there's a number 3 who was 64 million, but was overlooked. Now, so what then they done? Then there's a Lazola Media. Lazola Media is owned by a person who's employed by Ayavelisa Consulting, whose job was to make sure that all the events, including the boxing and any other events, even beauty pageants, will be organized using Lazola Media. Now, what Lazola Media would do, they would not follow the SCM processes of the municipality because it was now a third party. So you'll find that around 19 million was used for events organized by this Lazola, who were not required to follow. Actually, we are seeking legal opinion as to whether, if now the municipality signs a contract with our Velisa Consortium, which processes are they supposed to follow? Should they follow the SM processes of the municipality, or they are now exempt from following those processes because they now subcontract to Lazola Media? And Lazola Media will get friends and families, including officials of the municipality, to render services in terms of under the events management. So that's one of the findings that we have. And then also you find now there's also a 10%. So Lazola Media is, you could say, is being owned by by Ayavelsa Consortium because the guy is employed full-time by Ayavelsa Consortium. And yet, each and every invoice that comes back from whatever services that Lazola Media would do, they will then, before they submit to the municipality, they will add a 10% management fee. On top of the fees that they're supposed to be getting, but on each and every invoice, they will add 10%, including the boxing that happened even before. Now, we do have names of the people who were giving instructions, but we did not want to divulge names of those people because they have not even appeared in court because we've referred matters against them to the NPA. So that's exactly what was going on there. And then you have one employee of Ayavelsa Consulting who was then taken to the office of the MM to work full-time as an executive assistant. Yet the recommendation by BAC was that let's appoint this company on a call-down basis. Let them be there, but when we need something, we consult them. But then the contract, apparently, they then worked on them as if they were, it was a normal consulting at 70 million. As Mr. Lekgetho said, remember, the original estimate was 20 million. Then it is the erratum that somehow changed. The erratum only changed the date, didn't change the 80-20 and the 90-10. But at the evaluation, they decided then to use the 90-10, which was not part of the erratum. Now, also some companies who were there in the briefing session did not see the erratum on the e-portal. An employee was given instruction to advertise, to publish the erratum into e-portal, e-tender portal, but he didn't do it. When we asked, he couldn't give us a good explanation as to why. So there will be companies now who would have missed the erratum extending to 5 of December. As much as we say, it was 80-20, the erratum never mentioned about 80-10. But when they came back, now Ayavelsa is coming at 70 million. And the exact amount is the exact amount that Ayavelsa got, is the same amount that now the tender was, the contract was issued under. So I'm not sure if, Chair, I've tried to summarize in terms of the who's connected to who. Yeah.
That's very helpful. So, and I think at this stage we should give the members opportunity to ask questions just on this, so that we establish a sort of. So, if I were to summarize what you are describing to the committee, is to say they wanted to outsource the program management office, basically, right? For what purpose? To improve service delivery, or what was the stated purpose, if I may ask, before I proceed?
The main reason, Chair, was, as we say, in that document that we got, though unsigned, there has been a visit, apparently, of the president in that December. And out of that, then service delivery issues were identified. So in a drive or in a desire to improve service delivery and also obtain clean audits, they then felt that for them to be able to achieve that, they needed to have this project management service that will be able to manage all the key programs of the municipality.
Thank you. So anyway, for some reason, they felt they didn't have the capacity internally to establish that office. They go out on tender, and they get, in the end, about 10 bids or so. And they take bid number 4, whatever the number was, but they were certainly not the cheapest in terms of what the bids were. They initially estimated the cost at 20 million, but as we've seen in the presentation, it escalated. Now, during the course of executing, and I'm kind of skipping past the sort of the specific paperwork that needed to be signed, council resolutions, and all of these things that were not done, it appears that this tender became a vehicle for bypassing municipal processes, firstly, procurement and so on. The second thing is that the cost escalated far beyond the 20 million. Thirdly, that to the extent that anyone needed something done which certain officials approved, they would simply be told to do it. That's what it appears. They would do it and then submit a tender to an invoice to Aya Velisa, which would be then paid. Number 4, they placed an employee of Aya Velisa inside the municipality. It would appear to me, and please say if I'm reading this wrong, it would appear that the purpose of doing that was to make sure that all of this bypassing basically goes through onto basically leave the goal open for someone to score money in that way. And you have identified several entities, individuals and so on that used this channel basically, which is Aya Velisa, in order to make sure that they secure payments in the end. And what you have done is you've identified those entities and individuals. You've recommended disciplinary actions. You've also referred some to the National Prosecuting Authority. So that's my summary of my understanding. Would that be correct? As I describe it. Okay, thank you. So I don't want us to go to another municipality and then another one without giving the members an opportunity to ask, so that we can just work through all of this stuff and we know that we've got an understanding and then move on. So members, I'm going to start with you, Honorable Matlala, and go that way. And then on the next round, we'll come back this way. Over to you.
Thank you, and greetings, colleagues. Just 2 clarity questions, I think. One is on the error time. So it was not only amending the date, it was also amending the value of the contract. Did I hear that correct? That would be the first one, because I think initially I had heard that it was amending the date, but I got to understand later on that as if it was also amending the value of the contract from the 20 to about 70 something, even though it was not published in other spaces. I just want clarity on that. Then number 2, there is a point where the SIU had instructed the municipality to not pay about 13 million, and we are learning that about 70 has been paid. So it means that instruction was disregarded after having been issued to say, no, don't proceed paying so much of an amount. I just want also to understand that part. And if obviously those who were given instruction to not process the payment, which would have been the municipal manager or whoever, if they are also part of the then referrals for consequence management. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Kubeka.
Thank you, Chair, and greetings again to the SIU team. The long and short of this report basically is that this is just pure corruption, absolute corruption at the highest level. Again, to the SIU team, well done, guys, for doing a stellar job once again. I like the fact that the SIU team, they leave no stones unturned. Well done on that one. I'm not sure if there's really much to ask here. I think the biggest question that I have is I just want to know, which official was this that actually got a car purchased for them by the service providers? In what capacity is that official in the municipality? And the next one is, since not all bid specification committee members had appointment letters, how was that tender allowed to continue? Is that not irregular? And then I think you explained what Lazola Media was doing. So I think for now, I'd like to hold it there, Chair. Thank you.
Lazola Media were the number 6 of the whole operation. In soccer terms, they were the number 6. Honorable Skosana, you are not here, so I'm going to come back to you. Not just now, so that you can move in order. So it's your turn. If you've got questions, then we'll...
My question is very simple as well. You know, besides that, I'm not a judge, but what I heard, it's scary. In fact, when they say there's looting, normally this is what they are talking about. The issue of number 1, 2, 3, perhaps if I remember the Supply Chain Management Act, the issue of 80, 20, 90, 10, in my understanding, you know, it doesn't matter whether as well you are the lowest bidder on that one, even if perhaps some people are cheaper. You know, the modus operandi is that you come into the system, you bid for that particular tender, and eventually once you get the tender, like as you said, you know, 63 million, or if you come in with 55 million, knowing that once you are inside, you know, the scope will change now. You know, people will ask for, you know, in a construction industry, normally there's variations which are, you know, according to the law, it's fine with that. But on this one, like, you know, media and this management one, you know, normally that's what they do. Some they come cheaper, some they even appoint the highest, you know, because there's a lot of factors which they consider. Sometimes people are getting a job which they cannot deliver, but because they are cheaper, they are appointed. Then they run away, they leave that job, you know, unfinished, you know. Then they go to a municipal manager and ask for deviations to say, oh, you know, I can't complete this, you know, I've undercharged. But what I heard here, as you presented, I think, like what my colleague has said, I'm speechless. It's madness. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair.
Yes.
Just a quick one to the team. Has anyone been arrested for this?
Honorable Blossom.
No, thanks, Chair. Again, we must appreciate the SIU for the stellar job they keep doing. I mean, give us hope to see at least there's an entity that does what is mandated to do. So, yeah, for Tambo, Chair, again, I will say this, it's Triple M. If we know what Triple M was, it's a scam. And then one, the Chair, that, you know, the Eastern Cape remains one of the most depopulated places in this country, purely because of this. And I think at some time, municipality was also placed under administration. We might actually just need, after these reports, to even engage the Minister of Cogs, so that we find out what's the status of these municipalities. My interest really now with the NPA, with the SIU, I mean, my apologies, is to say, I see we have not recovered any of this money. It looks like the investigations are still ongoing. So for me, my interest will be on the disciplinary referrals to see if there's any action taken there, and also if do we actually recover any of this money, and even that official that was bought a car. So there has to be action taking place so that those who take over after this administration must be able to know that we frown upon corruption. Our biggest problem is that, I mean, it's no use being told a report like this and then nothing happens at the end of the day. I mean, there's got to be some level of accountability, and I think it assists that when we actually see the municipalities, we must be able to propose proper accountability measures. I'll be very interested. I see the ANC caucus today is united there. So, and I think this is their municipality. So I'd love to hear what they have to say about this. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. I don't think they're conflicted. None of them is from there. The only person who's from Tambo here is me, by the way. And as they were talking about them, I was worried. I hope there are no relatives of mine there on that list. Honorable Bila.
Thank you so much, Chairperson, and greetings to the SIU team, colleagues. Yes, the ANC caucus is here, but not here to defend corruption. Where there is corruption, consequence management must be applied. Yo, I'm speechless also. I'm thinking of the team that played with Pirates on weekend, Magezi. Or these officials in this municipality are not amateurs. They are professionals in corruption. It's for the first time that I hear of consulting engineers who attended the meeting once for a project amounted to 70 million. When we check here, no documentation to indicate that there are council sittings to adopt and the money is go to notice communities must get services, not for the officials and us as politicians to enrich ourselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honorable Nilmay.
No, thank you. Good morning, Chair, and to the SIU and to my colleagues. Yes, I'm looking at this and I know exactly where everything went wrong. You see, the intentions were obviously at the beginning because the PMU is responsible for the administration, financial management of the MIG funds within a municipality. Okay, so that is what the project management units are supposed to do. However...
Sorry, Honorable Nilmay, just for the public who are watching, what is a MIG? If you can just...
It is the Municipal Infrastructure Grant Funds. Okay, so the district municipality, Tambo is a district municipality, they still receive those funds. So, and the PMU is also funded through the equitable share. There's a portion of the money that comes into a municipality through the equitable share. So obviously, when the intentions to formulate that unit to deal with the challenges they were having with infrastructure, and then obviously things changed because you can see they did not follow the Municipal Finance Management Act at all in the way that they continued. So it is shocking in the sense that they then decided to up their tender to 70 million. You know, one would need to, there are the formalities that need to go. And looking at the different shareholdings here, my question was that how much work was done by the consortium according to the SLA out of that whole amount? Because a call-down contract, you can have call-down contracts, you know, those are your tenders that when you need the services, your engineering services, your consultants, you can call on them. But that still has to go, you still have to send they still have to quote on that work anyway, because that's where the AG and municipalities have run into trouble, is you have your call-down contracts, and if it's over a certain amount, they still have to get the different quotes. You see, they can't just call them in for over 200,000. So you need to stick to the Municipal Finance Management Act. And all along here, they probably thought they could run everything into that, you know, from the boxing, from the beauty contests. I mean, I'm from the Eastern Cape. There's a whole lot of things here that they've tried to bypass the red tape of the Municipal Finance Management Act. So the thing is, out of all of this, was there actually any work done? And did it cover, that was according to the SLA. But this is how you probably find in many of the municipalities trying to bypass, which is unacceptable and not according to the MFMA. So that's what I want to say. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Honorable Nilmay. Honorable Matuna, this is your territory, these sorts of things.
No, thanks, Chair. Chair, I'm failing to understand a whole lot of things when I'm looking at this. Good morning to you, Chair, members of the SIU, and well done for a job well done. I imagine it, surely it was not easy to pin together all this creativity and this much movement, because it's confusing to me even when you read it to me. You see, Chair, I think perhaps the report should read like the state of the OR Tambo Municipality state of capture.
Yes.
I think that's how this report must read. Because why I'm saying that, after they've been appointed, they even send an executive assistant to the office of the mayor. Indeed, this was a state of capture in the municipality. No, I think, Chair, there are a number of things that I note from this report. One, there was no council resolution to establish this particular strategic programs and project management unit. Now it brings me to the question that Honorable Neil asked, perhaps through you, Chair. I think the SIU must start. Do the municipality before this establishment, did it have a project management unit? Because I believe if we were to obtain clean audit, it does not only revolve around this. So I think the first question that we must ask, did the municipality, before the establishment of this office, that to me it appears like they are outsourced, did they have their own internal project management unit? As per, I think there's one particular regulation that establishes in terms of the municipal contest. Chair, there's a lot that is wrong here. I think that I would have noticed. Okay, the evaluation one, the appointment of some other members, appointment letters were not there, of which they were not even supposed to sit in that evaluation. Two, I know that the tender closing register was not found. And now I'm questioning myself, because before you even evaluate a tender, that is step number one. You need to get that register. Check vis-a-vis the documents that you have in you to verify that all these people submitted their tenders in time. That's where everything begins. That is step number one. Before you even verify a tender, you can't verify a tender without a tender closing register. Because how do you then know that when the tender was closed, who would have put their tender, which one was late, and so on and so on. So that is step number one. So that is why I'm saying the entire process, perhaps SIU, when you found out that they did not have this register, I think you would have already expressed an opinion that that evaluation was irregular, all of it, because that's step number one when we're evaluating this thing. There are a whole lot of things that are wrong in here, and I would not want to even go into them. Their functionality, the way they disqualify people and so on. I think I've seen some of these things before. But my question to the SIU, so the 80-20 and the 90-10, it's in regard to the pricing. I think when they will pass a particular a threshold, it becomes 90-10. When you just a little bit of clarity there, if that is what you refer to, because I just want to capture it proper. Now, I wanted as well to check, out of the 23% from that one, 25% from that one in this current term, did the municipality achieve a value for money in what it would have provided the initial original scope of the tender? And the SLA of the municipality, I see that the MM and the bid adjudication, because they are the final committee that would give the recommendation to the municipal manager for appointments to a particular amount. I see that them on them as well did not agree. The other ones, they said the appointment must be according to the tender amount. The other one said it must be on call down and appointed on those bases. So I just want to check the minutes are there saying something else, appointment letter is saying something else. I mean, this is the same thing. Because I'm thinking the amateur that would have been propelling this documentation because, you know, do they have audit committee and internal audit in the municipality? Or did they at that particular time? And I think lastly, Chair, I want to check in their scope now, these ones of boxing and where do they enter? How do they enter in this LSA? Are they covered in the service level agreement that the municipality have with this contempt? How does it enter? Because I want to locate exactly how this Lazola, which seems to be the champion in this corruption, enters. No, and I think that was that for me, but it's really bad. It's really bad. And the 10% fee management, it's really wrong. And you see, Chair, I think I might have said this as I conclude. I might have said this before. You see, in South Africa, the public believe that politicians are corrupt. However, I say it again. Politicians, when they get to office, they do not even understand how you appoint a particular tender. Politicians are corrupted by officials. And politicians do not even receive much of these proceedings from corruption. Because as you can see in this particular tender, here it was the work of the officials that were exchanging money in between each other. That is why one of them was bought a car. And I believe that me and you, SIU, shared the view that the one that they bought a car and the one of 120,000 were just those who were enablers. Those who were champions of this corruption are those of black bags money. Their money, they were not bought anything. Those ones are fraudsters. They are kingpins. They know that money of corruption must come in bags and all that thing. You will never find them here. I think we must say well done to SIU. Let us persuade them. They must be arrested in orange envelopes. Thank you.
Orange overalls, not envelopes. Honorable Skosan.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Chair. And greetings to all honorable members, the SIU and all other stakeholders present. Yeah, no, it's quite shocking, Honorable Chair, and we must applaud the SIU for the work that they've done so far. Yeah, this is a pure capture of a municipality. There's nothing much that we can say. If a tender which has a budget of about 20 million set aside for it, it can rise from 20 to 70. A person who have scored it at 70 and then is the one that is being given a tender. When the budget that is there, it's only 20 million. So there are quite a number of things that are wrong with this whole thing. But one question here, I see you are, not unless I miss it, because in all your slides, when you are speaking about the bid specifications committee only, I've never seen where we are speaking about the bid evaluation committee and the bid adjudication committee. Because like Honorable Matuna was indicating, because the last committee that makes the final recommendation to the accounting officer is the bid adjudication officer, because the bid specification committee is the first committee that has the specification, issue tender and what. And then between there will be a bid evaluation that will do the evaluation, but the last committee is the bid adjudication that will do the final adjudication and hand over to the accounting officer. So I don't see where you are talking about this other two committee, not unless I've missed it. And yeah, I see there's a confusion between the issue of a bid price versus the call down basis. I mean, this shouldn't be happening because a call down basis is something different, and a bid pricing is something different. You can't have the two in the same service level agreement. When a person is appointed on a bid price, but then also is being subjected to a call down basis. So this is pure corruption, Honorable Chair. And I want to understand the role of this executive assistant who was put in the office of the MM from Velisa. What was the role of this person? Was he or she there to assist the MM with municipal functions, or was he or she there to do the work of the Velisa, but doing it in the office of the municipal manager? And the issue of Lazola Media, I see that it was paid about 13 million. And in the whole thing, it would look like this Lazola was more of a subcontractor, though its role was sketchy, but it was more of a subcontractor. But then it would look like it was paid direct by the municipality, if I'm not wrong. I just wanted clarity there as to whether was it paid direct by the municipality or it was paid by the Velisa. And then finally, I think I saw where you were saying you have there was officials where they were not what I can say officials were not feeling free to come and give evidence to the SIU. And then I think you were indicating that you escalated the matter to the executive mayor. I just want to find out as to, since that you escalated this matter to the executive mayor, is there any improvement? After that, were any improvements that officials were able to come and cooperate and give the necessary evidence? And from your investigation, to what extent was the executive mayor informed about all these things? Because the executive mayor also has got a responsibility as the political head elected by council to play oversight on the executive on behalf of the council as the executive. So I'm just wondering as to where was the executive mayor when all these things were happening? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Skosana. Honorable Atkinson.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much to the members of the SRU for all your hard work. One of the great sadnesses of governance in South Africa has been the collapse of the smaller municipalities. And this really goes to the heart of the problem, is corrupt tenders such as this. So what we've seen basically is a misspending on an industrial scale across South Africa. And it's created a massive headache for our government as to what to do, basically, to get proper service delivery to our people. And the saddest thing is that the OR Tambo municipality probably has one of the higher percentages of what we could term poor people. And effectively, you've got a group of greedy people here who've decided to feed on the money that comes into the municipality. Just one or two questions I want to ask about this particular issue. The Ivisha Consulting, have we done an investigation into who sits behind the business, the people involved, the directors or the people behind it? Because, I mean, it does all seem very in-house by the fact that they're employing family and friends and people in the municipality. But it'd be quite good to know who the people are that are behind it. And do they have any other skills? And I mean, have they done this for any other municipalities? Do they have any experience in the field? Because I mean, if the municipality seemed to think that they could help them get a clean audit, have they managed to do it anywhere else? Or is this really just an entity that's been set up specifically to try and milk the OR Tambo municipality? Yeah, I think I just would like to get a little bit of more information about the company and just wonder what kind of investigation you've done on them, basically. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honorable members. May I please hand over to the SIU team?
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you, Honorable Member. I'll give my colleagues to answer the question. They will come in. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Chair and honorable members. I will try to deal with the questions. The issue of the erratum, remember we said the erratum was just to change the date from the 17th of November to the 5th of December. It had nothing to do with the tender value. As we say, there was no other bid spec committee that met to say now estimate is going to be around 70 million. In terms of the 13 million payment, what we have done, once we started our investigation, as soon as we discovered that there's something wrong with the tender, with the whole procurement process, we would normally go and say, let's cancel the tender and set it aside. But now we discovered at the time that there's still 13 million that was not yet paid. And then we wrote to the municipality to ask them, please don't continue to pay this money because we found some problems with this contract. And the municipality agreed with us that they won't pay the money. But when we conducted our bank analysis, and then we found that they've paid over 70 million. So even that 13 million, which we are going to find out from them as to why did they continue to pay that, is part of the referrals that we've made against the municipality. In terms of which official is driving the car, for now, as we say, we do know which car is it. It's a Mercedes-Benz. But we're still finding out as to exactly who is driving the car, because we still have to go into the system and check who might have used that car, maybe to claim or whatever. But for now, we're unable to pinpoint as to exactly who is driving the car. It could be an official, it could be somebody else, it could even be a politician. How was the tender allowed since the payment not of all the letters? Unfortunately, when we've interviewed a number of people there, including those who we have not seen their appointment letters, and they can't give us plausible reasons as to why their appointment letters are not there to sit in those committees. It is that reason that SIU is now going to court to set aside that contract. So the contract was invalid in that it was awarded irregularly. Are there any arrests? As I say, we have referred matters to the NPA. When we started the investigation, there was already a case number that the DPCI was working on. We've engaged with the DPCI officials in Amtata, where we wanted to work together with them. But when we found that they have not done much stride on the case, so it now depends on the matters that we have referred to them. We can follow up in terms of those. I think there are 2 case numbers, but we have not heard of any arrests, but we do have case numbers on 2 of the referrals that we have submitted. Remember, on the issue of, I'm dealing with the issue of whether 80-20, will it be, do they have to take the cheaper one? We made a presentation that one company that had functionality in their bid document was scored 0 by 2 officials. And these 2 officials who scored this company 0, and yet in their bid document, they do have that information, but yet they were scored 0. And the same 2 officials are the 2 of those that we have referred against them. Because what they have done strategically is that after the functionality, those 6, Ayavelisa became the only bidder that was scored full points, and therefore they were the only one that got above 80% or 80 points, because that one was disqualified. And remember, this one was disqualified, was 64 million, and Ayavelisa was 70 million. But because now Ayavelisa had been scored on that function, on that, I just forgot what it is. But now this one, would have scored more if they were given their rightful points for that, but they were given a 0. So if they were given their points, they would have been 85 or even 82 above Ayavelisa. So I think strategically, they tried to make sure this company does not get those points and Ayavelisa gets, so that Ayavelisa gets over 80 points. In terms of the disciplinary processes, we've recently met the municipality, the troika there, Mayor, MM, and the speaker, when we were introducing the new proclamation. That is where now there were questions asked about the disciplinary referrals that we have referred to them. We have since invited them to invite us so that we can explain our findings. So somehow there was some misunderstanding as to our referrals. When we refer the matters to them, we refer the matters to them together with a box of evidence upon which we're basing our referral. But they have not yet, they had not before our meeting invited us so that we can explain, because somehow they didn't understand. So after the meeting we had, which was on the 29th of September in Amtata, we are then going to sit down with them and explain what we mean when we say you can make those kind of disease processes. Unfortunately for the disease, we cannot, our hands become tied a little bit in that we can't force them to charge any members, but we can assist them in terms of explaining what our referrals is about. How much work was done under the contract? Honestly, we can't really put value into it, but from the spreadsheet that we have, we can for now say around 18 million out of the 70 million, but I can't vouch for sure, because even in that 18 million, you still find items that are written events management. So there's few items where you will find it's engineering and this and this and this and that. But for now, from the spreadsheets that we have where we've separated, we could at least for now say around 18 million. Did the municipality have PMU before SPPO? Unfortunately, Honorable Member, I can't really respond to that. I am not sure if they did have. I'm assuming that they would have, but we can come back with an answer as to whether they had that PMU before this contract. The tender closing register. What we've done, obviously, we would want to see. Our presentation is specific to say, according to the minutes of the BEC, there were 10 bids, and we wanted to see the 10 bids. We wanted to see the tender closing register. We wanted to see who had submitted. We went to the municipality to identify who were the officials. Apparently, the tender box normally is outside, but in this case, tender box was removed from outside into a certain office. So we want to say who are the persons or the officials responsible for closing of the tender and signing of that register, which we did not get. Now that is where now the threat to members comes in. Because when we were there, as we were in the passage with the two officials, who was going to show us the tender office where the tender was closed, a manager of these two officials was standing at the corner, and when they saw the manager, they couldn't cooperate any further. But that manager is one of those that we have referred to see against. So we could not get the tender register. We cannot even identify who are the officials that closed the tender at the time. Did the municipality get the value for money? I think I've responded to that. The issue of the call-down basis, a question was asked about the BSc, BEC. I think we've reported on the BSc. We've reported on the BEC, because remember that's where the evaluation was done. And the BEC then recommended, let's appoint them on a 70 million. Then the BAC disagreed with the BEC and said, no, let's rather contract them on a call-down basis. And that recommendation was given to the MM that don't appoint them on a tender price, appoint them on a call-down basis, but the contract that was signed by the MM was on a tender price. Unfortunately, Chair, here, the person who was the MM, that's one of the difficulties that we had, is that the MM has since deceased in 2020, so we cannot get all the questions, and as you would know, everybody will send us to the deceased person where we cannot get answers. The boxing events and other events were not part of the. We do have a consortium agreement. We do have the breakdown of the services that make the 70 million, and the boxing is not there. The boxing and the historical debts were just items that they felt they can just put under the SLA, please process the payment, which I think that is the reason why they then appointed that executive assistant. That executive assistant was not there to assist the MM. She was there to make sure that all the processes are relating to Ayavelisa are processed properly. So she was there representing Ayavelisa, but acting also as an executive assistant to the municipal manager. And the budget, we've reported in our slides that they said the budget will come from the office of the MM. But the budget vote that we got, when we look at the budget vote actually did not belong to the MM. It belonged to the security department. So, meaning there was actually no budget for this. Whether there were environment processes where they had to take that budget from the security to the MM, we don't have sight of that information. As we say, we did not get any council resolutions to decide on whether this must continue. We looked at the IDP from the 2016-2017, where we're going to find there is just one mention of project management, but there is no mention in the IDP document that talks to this SPPMO office. Lazola Media was paid direct by the municipality. Remember, the invoices will be processed via Ayavelsa Consortium, via the lady who's in the MM office, and they will get paid. We are following up on the, obviously we will do your CIPC reports and get ITC reports and get who's behind Ayavelisa. We do know that, but we want to go beyond that, where we look at the beneficiation, who had really benefited. Would it be Ayavelisa directors, or will it be somebody that we do not know? Possibly there are many people that we do not know. Some, unfortunately, some become very clever that they will use the orange envelopes, honorable person. Brown envelopes. In terms of the role of the mayor, one other challenge that we had when we were doing this investigation is that there was a time the municipality was destabilized. There was instability in the municipality. There was a time you had 2 MMs, 2 speakers. There was that period. So there's been a revolving chairs in terms of the mayors. Today, this mayor is the MM. Tomorrow, the mayor. So, but we in our report, we are able to pinpoint as to who was the mayor at the time this has happened. But the mayor that we are dealing with now is not the mayor that was present at the time, since there were these revolving chairs. Today, one of our suspects was the MM, and tomorrow is the CFO. Then when you go look for documents, there were times, Chairperson, when we would write a letter to the municipality, because the last time the MM was Mike Goya, we'll address to Mike Goya, but when we send the letter, we find it's no longer Mike Goya, it's Leonard Lekgeto. They will tell you, no, go rewrite a letter and address it to the right person, even though the letter is addressed to the office. So, but we will definitely, in our presidential report, be able to tell exactly what role did the mayor play in terms of the oversight role. As we know, the SRU does put specific emphasis on the oversight role of the politicians in what happens in any of the state institutions. Yeah, I think I've tried to answer most of the questions, but I'll allow my boss to maybe make final comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, Chair. I know that I was outside, but I was watching from the screen. I wanted to ask a simple question. Are these recommendations binding? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The recommendation of SIU currently, as we know, that they've not yet been challenged to the extent that they've been taken to court, well, like the public protector, where they've been pronounced as being binding. So for now, we do make a recommendation. but we applaud to the accounting officer that they need to implement in the interest of good governance. But as it is, there's no way where it's indicated whether they are binding or not. Yeah. So, Chair, I just wanted to indicate to my colleague that there was a question to say, did the consortium have the necessary skill to do the work that they needed to do? Maybe if you can answer that question.
Oh yes, the company is not a special purpose company. It's been in existence. They do have experience. So I think they have done some work elsewhere. They do have experience. As much as they had to go on a consortium because the V3 were for engineering services, the Lorisho were mostly accountants, and then you will have them as the project management. So they did have experience. Thanks.
Thank you. So, members, we will on exactly the same issues that we're canvassing today hear from the Auditor General next week, and that's going to complete the picture for the committee. We might actually just need, and this is the idea, that we then decide as a committee who we call in here to account for for this, because it's clear that there appears to be a pattern of behavior and a systemic failure. I'd be very surprised if this is the only instance where this kind of thing happens in the municipality, especially when it happens right at the top. There was a time when there were effectively two administrations in Tambo, and eventually the government, the national, I think the provincial government had to intervene so that service delivery could happen at least at a minimum. Otherwise, there was a time when there were just very little by way of sort of a solid chain of accountability through the normal course. So thank you very much. Can we then move on to the next one? So what we'll do is we will take the presentation and then do a body break, and then we come back and we proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The next one is also relating to OR Tambo District Municipality. But this one, Chair, is a new one which was proclaimed in August this year. So currently it's still in a planning phases where we're still collecting evidence. There hasn't been any progress or finding in terms of this one. But we just thought, let's just indicate, because the invitation said OR Tambo. That's why we included it. But just for the noting, it just indicated what are the focus area that we are looking at in terms of this one. The first one is the construction of the Signal Hill Reservoir and the appointment of Amatola Water Board in 2019 and alleged irregular payments made to Amatola. And we're also looking at the construction of Kanduli Bulk Water Scheme and the appointment of Nina Sonke engineer and alleged irregular payments made to the company. And we're also looking at the construction of the Kanduli Bulk Water Scheme and the appointment of Kwalo Construction and alleged payments made to. And we're also looking at the supply and installation of pump at Mhlonhlo Cluster 1 and the appointment of Valatone 94cc and Phoenix Tank Ltd in 2019 and alleged irregular payments made to. We are also looking at the electrification of Mtata Dam and Highbury and the construction of the Thornhill Clear Water Pump Station and the alleged irregularities regarding the payments that was made thereof. So these are the focus area that we are looking at in terms of this new proclamation that we have received. But we also were indicating that the moment we received the proclamation, we also received notification from the public protector where they indicated further matters which were needed to be investigated, which are related to the same processes. Therefore, what we did, we have applied for a proclamation so that we can extend the scope, so that we can cover those new matters that were raised by the public protector. So, like I indicated, the investigation currently on the planning phase, where we are busy collecting and analyzing documents. There isn't any finding in terms of this one. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, so members, do we take the body break now?
No, I thought we will take the next municipality because this one is just ongoing, like they indicate. I don't think we've got many issues to raise. Maybe let's take Ethekwini.
And then go on a body break. Okay, Honorable Skosan.
Yeah, I've got a question on this one as well. My question was simple here is that I'm not sure how long, because when I look at the public protectors, when he received this in 24 July 2023, and I'm seeing that this, you are expecting to finalize this by August 2025. I'm not sure whether this is because of resources, but matters are taking too long. You know, now you have the deceased people as well, you know, if one is to consider what happened, you know, with the other one, which we spoken about earlier, that you might find by the time you finish this thing, some people are no longer there. So can't we, I mean, can't you perhaps try to have time frames on these things? You know, and perhaps, I know some matters take 10 years, 15 years. You know, you find the person is going to court for the next 10 years. Now, there's no mechanism where perhaps these matters can be really be dealt with, you know, as a matter of urgency. Because for me, these public funds, this thing is going to continue. As much as we are still waiting, it looks like this thing has not stopped. Well, I'm not casting aspersions, but I'm saying of what I heard today here, having to run a parallel municipality in the last one, you know, I mean, now, yeah, I'm afraid that 31 August 2025, you know, it's almost a year, you know, and you might not finalize it by that time, because we are still investigating. I'm just saying, Chair, perhaps if the SIU can be beefed up, you know, for them to have perhaps enough personnel to deal with matters. It looks like the country has been looted. I thought the state capture stopped many years ago, the so-called state capture. But it looks like, you know, it's Gugagogola. Thank you.
Honorable Neil May and then Honorable Madlal.
No, thank you. I do have a few questions. The questions are, this funding, was this MIG funding, was this grant funding that was given to the municipality? Because it's very interesting that the district would have got the money for Amatola Water Board to do some projects, whereas Amatola Water Board themselves is, there were challenges at the water board during the same time and even now today. So it would be interesting to see if the funds from government were filtered to the district for this particular, for these projects, because these are all water projects. If I'm looking at this, obviously people were waiting for the construction of the Thornhill Clearwater Pump Station. I'm just looking at the bulk water projects. So was that funding, and therefore being irregular, they were maybe instructed, but they didn't do the correct compliance. Because, as I said, Amatola Water Board is obviously from government. It is a sort of a board where they could work on a MOU, but obviously the engineers would have had to go through to their tender, but the one with Amatola I'm interested in, and if all of this money was grant funding. Thanks.
Thank you. Honorable Madlala.
Thank you, Chair. And this may be applicable or may not be applicable to this particular matter. But I want to establish if, I think when there's a proclamation, there is already prima facie cause that there may be some issue. On matters that are ongoing, for example, if there are projects that are questioned or companies that are in interaction with that particular entity, what are the remedial actions that are put in place to ensure that the problem do not continue? So, for example, even if the investigation is not concluded, but if I pick up that there are certain areas, and we can then say in the immediate stop, whilst we proceed, so that more damage is not done. Like in the case of an employee, you would have suspensions. So say we suspend you pending investigation so that you don't get involved and lose documents and all of that and interfere. In cases of such projects, is there such recommendations interim to curb the exacerbation of the issue? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm actually thinking that there might be cause for the committee to have a session with the head of the Hawks too, because you come across many instances where referrals have been made for prosecution, which I mean, it's both the NPA and the Hawks. But I kind of sometimes get a sense that between those two, something is broken. Referrals are made, and then you just never hear about where the matters ended up. And it might be useful for the committee to understand how that process works. When a referral is made, what happens next? What goes to whom? And how do they keep track of what is where? Do they have enough resources and so on? Or cases go into a file and, you know, there's a piling up as well. Honorable Maduna?
No, thanks, Chair. I think, Chair, I think we would have spoken about it before. And I think we would have resolved that perhaps we must have some sort of a register where all these referrals, we're going to collect them, all of them, whether they are from which entity, and then follow up on them in terms of the NPA or the works in terms of their progress, and then we can be able to engage them well while we know, because I noticed that there have been a lot of these referrals, but we don't hear even on meet about these cases being prosecuted, and we don't know what is the issue, why they're not moving with them. Perhaps, Chair, I think we must move with that swiftly in that, prepare a proper register where we will use it to just follow up on each and everything in terms of whereabout are these referrals. I thank you, Chair. And I also think that we must not forget the disciplinary hearings. These entities must discipline people.
No, thank you, Honorable Matuna. In fact, I had a meeting with the committee support staff about exactly these matters, so that things like even the templates that we provide to entities for them to provide information to us, so that we can, the conversation sometimes should happen on our terms rather than what they choose to tell us. So I had that discussion, and we're going to do that. Honorable Blossom?
Yeah, no, thanks, Chair. I think from your articulation, there is something that has been triggered to say, and especially with what Honorable Skosana was saying, maybe we should look at even giving the SIU prosecution powers. And I don't know what process we might need to follow to that. It's something we might need to explore. But while we are looking at that, we also, I think, in addition to what you just raised, maybe let's get the NPA, the SIU, and the Hawks, us, so that we understand in terms of how they intermingle with each other, so that we find out what, when the SIU refers cases to the NPA, what do the NPA do, how does it get to the Hawks, and then what is the MOU between them. Because we need accountability at the end of the day, so that we understand how the process works, and in that way we'll be able to be effective in our work. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Member. So I think the constitution says there must be a single prosecution service. If they don't do their work, then we must get somebody who will. That's the long and the short of it. Thank you. I don't know if you've got any final comments. Then we move on to the next municipality.
No, thank you, Chair. We have noted the comment from honorable members, and we will make sure that we look at the timeline of this investigation. But what is key for us, Chair, we can see that this one is more of a very technical. That's why we projected the time, because it's a there's so much engineering process that is involved. But what we make sure in most instances is that as and when we come across the irregularities, we don't wait for the investigation to be finalized. We make a referrals immediately so that action can be taken. So that's the approach that we follow, but we'll make sure that it's finalized as soon as possible. And also, I can indicate that there are several other investigations on Amatola Water Board that we're currently conducting. And also on the issue of the remedial action on the ongoing contract, what we normally do, Chair, once we come across any irregularities, like we indicated previously, that we advise the municipality to say, don't pay. And even if when we see that the contract is irregular, we advise them that this contract is irregular and we're in the process of going to cancel it so that they can know and able to decide at that particular time. And at that point, there's an assessment that they make whether in terms of service delivery, do you cut the service delivery or do you just continue? So, but from our point, we always make sure that we notify the municipality that we have identified some irregularities and we will be going to cancel the contract. So that's what we make sure, so that we don't perpetuate and we don't allow the corruption to carry on. So we do make sure that we do that. And whether this was funded from MIC, I'll ask my colleagues to indicate that, Chair, then I'll go to Ethekwini. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think for now we are unable to say whether it was a MIC funding. As we say, we're still at the planning stage of the investigation, but obviously we're looking at the motivation we sent to the President. There will be information that is there, so perhaps in our next visit we'll be able to confirm whether it was from a MIC funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please proceed to the next one. Ethekwini.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The next one is Ethekwini Metropolitan Municipality, which we are investigating under Proclamation R9 of 2021. And this investigation is finalized. And in terms of the background, the investigation emanates from the complaint that was received during October 2019 from an anonymous whistleblower by the SIU regarding maladministration and affair of the municipality in respect of the disposal or alienation of immovable property of the municipality for the provision of housing through the municipal infill housing program. The allegation further relate to the transfer or sale of vacant property by developer in breach of developer's contractual obligation and contrary to the objectives of the HIP. The whistleblower provided the SIU with details of 29 sites in the Phoenix area in respect of which these irregularities were alleged. The SIU was mandated in terms of the Proclamation R9 of 2021, which was published on the 1st of April 2021. Then in terms of the focus area of this investigation, we are looking at alienation of immovable property of the municipality or the state for the provision of housing through the municipal human settlement infill housing program. And we are also looking at the transfer or sale of vacant property by developer appointed by municipality for purpose of the municipality's human settlement infill housing program. And we are also looking at the improper payments made in respect of the alienation or transfer or sale of the immovable property. And we're also looking at the improper conduct by official or developer or any other person. In terms of the finding of this investigation, we have found that there was a contravention of the municipal prescript in the allocation of sites and immovable assets by the municipality. And there were also irregularities in the appointment of the service providers. And there were also irregularities in the allocation of sites to service providers. So on this one, Chair, we didn't go through the details just to identify the exact irregularities which we have identified, but we just tried to summarize it. But in terms of the outcome of the investigation, we have made disciplinary referrals to the municipality for the financial misconduct against 4 members. And we have also made NPA referrals against 20 members, which will include 4 criminal referrals were submitted against 3 official and 1 former official for misconduct. And there was also 4 criminal referrals which were submitted against 4 service provider and its director and 1 official. There was also 1 matter against a service provider and the director and official for financial misconduct, which was that 1 matter was declined for prosecution by the Special Commercial Crime Unit. But in total, we have referred 20 criminal referrals to NPA so that they must take action. So we only have progress in terms of 1 matter out of the 20 where they declined to prosecute. In terms of administrative action, we have referred 1, which was submitted to the municipality, where we recommended for blacklisting of 4 company or service provider and their directors. Anyway, systematic recommendation, we have done systemic recommendation to the municipality in order to make sure that all the irregularity does not happen going forward. And we have referred 1 SARS referrals against an official for non-compliance of income tax return. And we are also in the civil litigation where we refer the matter to special tribunal so that we can cancel that contract to the value of 28.1 million. And the matter is currently at the special tribunal and it was referred on the 28th of March 2024. So we're currently waiting for further court process to pursue. Then in terms of the general observation, the investigation revealed that there was no SCM process, nor any documentary evidence substantiating the appointment of the 2 service providers which were appointed, and the property sold to service provider by the municipality for the IHP were sold for profit and or developed for other purpose contrary to the objective of the IHP. Irregularities in the appointment of service provider by the municipalities was identified, and we also identified irregularities in the allocation of sites, and site visits were conducted on the 29 sites, and upon inspecting these sites, the SIU identified that the IHP was not implemented and the sites were being utilized for other purpose. Transfer or disposal of properties must be approved by the municipal council, and also the municipality may proceed to transfer or dispose of the asset irrespective of the value of the asset or whether it is to be transferred to a service to a private sector party or a organ of the state. The transfer or disposal must only be done in accordance with the SCM policy, of which on this instance we saw that it was not done according to the prescript of the SCM policy. That's an update on the Ethekwini municipality. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members, do you have any questions on Ethekwini? Okay, Honorable Madlal. Okay, then we'll... in fact, let me start that side now, to be fair. Yes, Honorable Atkinson, you go first.
Chair, actually, I have no comments to make on it. I think it's pretty clear. Thanks very much.
Honorable Skosana.
Yeah, no, Chair. Yeah, no, again, we want to welcome the report and thank the SIU for the good work that they've done thus far. Yeah, unezinkinga lo masipala wabo Honorable Blose. By the way, Honorable Blose is a former councillor there. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. I think this is corruption. Just one question on the summary of outcomes. Yeah, on the administrative action that referral submitted to the municipality with recommendations to blacklist 4 service providers and their directors and members. this administrative action, does it have a strong effect on these particular companies? Because if they are submitted to these municipalities, this particular municipality blacklist them, but then they can still operate in other municipalities, if my understanding is correct. Is it a really strong administrative action that can be recommended by the SIU in this particular regard? That's the only question that I'm having, Chair. Thank you very much.
Honorable Maduna, do you have anything?
Yeah, just shortly. No. Thanks, Chair. Yeah, Ethekwini Municipality, I've always felt from distance that it has problems. Perhaps I just want to check from you, SIU, ne? As in when you were doing this investigation, ne? Obviously these particular properties were to be developed for IHP. What is it that they are exactly used for? Because I'm trying to follow in the report. You are not specifying, you are just saying for other people's use. Just trying to check what is it that they are exactly used for. And there are no municipal employees that are attached to the developer and as well that are in use, or that would have some of these sites or these properties might have ended up with. But yeah, I think as a comment, Chair, I think this seeks to show us that in South Africa, corruption has no color. Corruption can be done by anyone, whether black, white, Indian, or whichever race you might be. I thank you, Chair.
As somebody who used to work for a bank, I can tell you 100% that is true. So the crooks come in all shapes and sizes. And Honorable Neil May.
No, thank you very much. I'm very interested. The one question is the SARS referral submitted against an official for non-compliance of income tax returns. That is a kind of unusual sort of statement, in the sense that is that relating to lifestyle audit, or what was the reason for that? The second thing is, obviously, I just wanted to know, IHP is obviously housing project. What is the IHP? I just wanted a little more about it. And was there a project plan? Like you say, there were no documents that you could find with regards to the sale of that. That was what I was interested. But like you say, this is a very, very sad situation. Thanks.
Thank you. Honorable Pila, over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. No question or comment for now.
Honorable Blosse, were you involved in any of those shenanigans there?
Chair, you are casting aspersions.
Okay, I withdraw. That's unparliamentary. That's unparliamentary. I withdraw.
Yeah, as of forward. No, the mere fact that we once served it in this municipality, Chair, it doesn't implicate us. It has always been a municipality of the ANC, so they take full accountability for these shenanigans. But on a serious note, Chair, I think it really worries us, and especially in Ethekwini, because there's a huge issue of housing in that municipality. Besides the IHPs, there are also government-funded houses, low-income earners housings that are in that municipality, and you find a lot of this, where the municipality will put in money to give access to our people for housing, but those houses never get to the beneficiaries. Just like the SIU is saying here, when they did site visits, they found that these sites are not actually used for the IHPs, but they are used for other purposes. So the municipality irregularly appoints people and put money into these things. and the money is not even used for what it was meant for, let alone that it was appointed illegally as well. So it's really a big problem and a concern for us. So yeah, I'm a comrade Chair. And now they're not just eating.
For honorable member, you might have to withdraw like me. You might have to withdraw like me.
So but they've said it themselves that it's a problem. But I'm not saying anyone. I'm just saying in general. I guess we agree now that corruption doesn't have color. So the SIU is still going to come back with the proper reports and tell us what needs to happen here. But overall, Chair, we must thank the SIU as well. The NPA referrals as well. I think that's what we need to keep track of, and then see if any of these matters actually go into being prosecuted. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Kubeka.
Thank you, Chair. Not too much from me. And just on where there's no SCM processes or any documentary evidence substantiating the appointment of 2 service providers. The question there is who appointed the service providers, and have there been any disciplinary actions there? And then again, irregularities in the appointment of service providers by the municipal officials. And the question there is what has been done to these municipal officials? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Skosan.
I'll wait for the next 10, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Madlalo.
Thank you, Chair. One of my few role models are I think that information should be confidential, because we're not saying they are guilty. We're saying there are recommendations in their names so that they are known out there. Number 2, I wanted to know the dates. I think I don't know if we made it in the earlier comments on the summary of outcomes, the date for referrals. And I think I did speak about it in another platform, that we need to know when these referrals were made to the NPA and for disciplinary hearings, because this is also a concluded report. So we need to know if Ethekwini Municipality has not acted, or what is the status of these referrals, so that we can be able to hold whoever needs to be held accountable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I hand over to you for your responses?
No, thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Member. I will answer some of the question, and I'll ask my colleagues who's from also KZN to answer other question. The referrals of the administrative action, that is the blacklisting, normally it's an administrative process. What we do, we refer to the municipality and ask them that they must follow the administrative process. And during that administrative process, they will write to the service provider to say, we have received this information and we will want to take action against you to blacklist you. What is your response? Then the service provider will provide response to the municipality, and after assessment, then the municipality will make a recommendation to National Treasury. So this blacklisting will be in the National Treasury database, meaning that the company will not provide service to any other government entity, because they will be blacklisted in the National Treasury database, not necessarily at the Ethekwini Municipality. The other question is the issue of that the report is concluded, and then we should able to mention the names. Indeed, Chair, I think in most instances, when we do our investigation, we make sure that we give the people the right of reply. And so in that instances, when we have given them the right of reply, we are in position to able to mention, to say, this is the company, and this is what we have recommended against them, and this was their response. So in the next, I think next meeting, when we do the presentation, we will be able to indicate, particularly on those matters where the investigation is finalized and we have given the people the right of reply. And I think we'll also follow the same approach as the OR Tambo, where we give more of the meat so that the committee can able to understand and comprehend the extent of the activity that happened. On this one, we just did it at a high level because
$25% was going to be derived from a low-income group, earning less than 3,500 rands. The second one was a 75%, which was from a middle-income group, earning from 3,501 to 5,000 rands. And this is what I'm going to give you a little bit of a background. Yeah. So around 2000, year 2000, the municipality took a policy decision to utilize vacant sites belonging to the municipality. And most of those vacant sites were dispersed around the Phoenix area. So the ownership belonged to the municipality. But for the purpose of developing the sites and constructing these houses, the municipality appointed private developers through an SCM process. So the SCM process was followed from the adverts to the appointment, and 3 developers were appointed. During the process, before the sites were allocated, 1 developer was replaced without following due processes by other developers that were not appointed through an SCM process. And the officials, as a result, we have referred all of them that were involved during that appointment. So they are named in the report. I'm not going to, unfortunately, I'm not going to name them because the DC process has not commenced. So that is what happened, Chairperson. What we found when we, because the whistleblower only reported 29 sites in Phoenix, we conducted site visits in Phoenix, and we found that there was going to be, I think, the service sites were going to be sold at 30,000, excluding VAT. The unserviced bulk sites were going to be sold at 100,000 to the developers for them to prepare and develop and construct the houses for that income group. But what we found in Phoenix was that the developers were developing and selling the sites, and were benefiting in terms of profit. I'll make an example. There was a site that was sold for 34,000, that is including VAT, but was sold at 500,000. So the transfers, they are deriving benefits. There were sites, the bulk sites, which were sold at I'm going to make an example because I've got the final report with me here. I'm just going to make one example as to how they derive profit. I'm going to go to... Remember, these sites, there are various sites that are owned by them. This is just a sample that was reported to SIU, so our mandate was only limited to these sites. I'm going to make an example here. But none of these 29 sites were utilized for the infill housing program. There was one site that was sold at 34,200, but was to the developer, but the developer sold it at 1.1 million. There was one site that was sold at 34,200, but the developer sold it at 600,000. This is even worse. There was one site that was sold at 21,000, and it was sold at 9.5 million. So that was the trend. There's more. There's 34.9 million, there's 11.7 million, where they were deriving a profit. So the issue is when the municipality failed to monitor and assess what was the activities of the developers on the sites that were allocated. So which is why we also preferring disciplinary referrals against the officials. Unfortunately, one resigned immediately after we interviewed them. They were failing to monitor what was transpiring in the sites, on the sites. So this is
Can
where
I
we are.
ask, were they failing to monitor or they were willfully not paying attention?
We are going to get to that, Chair.
Okay.
We're going to get to that, Chair. So when we conducted our commission...
Sorry, can I just...
Yes, sir.
If a person resigns, does that stop you from dealing with them? I mean, because surely if there are criminal actions in place, it doesn't really matter whether they're an employee or not. I mean,
We still proceed. We proceeded, as you can see, how many NPA referrals we made against the officials and the directors and the developers, the companies. So when we conducted the financial analysis of the bank statements, we found that some of the developers were paying gratification to the officials. There is one positive matter that has been where we've directly linked the payments from the developers to that one official. So the NPA is proceeding with the corruption charge against that official as well as the developers. That is the same developers that you are referring for blacklisting, because there is a positive corruption case that the Hawks are now investigating.
Honorable Skosan?
Oh, Chair, I wanted to find out, are we going to come back, as you said? Let me, hold on, thank you.
Okay, I just want to be sure we've done the clarifications, because we're going to come back to, okay, that's fine.
Well, maybe we may not get that information now. It's the date for the referrals of these matters, because maybe they may not have the progress report, but if they have, it's good. But if they don't, so that we know exactly when we meet with the NPA, these matters are referred to you on this date. What have you done? Thank you.
Thank you. Please deal with that.
Thank you, Chair. I've got the dates when the matters were referred to the NPA. Some were referred in August 2022 and others in December 2022. But we've had engagements with the NPA, because once you have a corruption allegation against an official, you have to prove from the bank statement analysis that there was the actual deposit into that specific account. So where we found that there was a specific or direct link, you know, we then proceed by registering a criminal case, but no one has been charged thus far. In as far as the disciplinaries are concerned, these were done in, let me just check, in November 2022, and those ones have been presented to the municipality, but we're still awaiting the outcomes of the municipality financial is it the financial disciplinary report. Yeah, that is what we are told, that they're still making their review or assessment, then tell us when we are required to come and assist with maybe testifying during those disciplinaries.
Honorable Skosana and then Honorable Madun.
A quick one, I just wanted to find out whether are you using the proclamation only, or for you to get those bank statements, are you using section 2.5?
For the bank statements that we as the SIU requested from the banks, we use our own section 5.2B notice. But the subs, which is the Hawks, they are using their own way of subpoenaing, which is section 2.5, yeah.
Thank you. Honorable Maduna?
No, I want to check, Chair. When were these referrals for disciplinary? When was When was the referrals for the disciplinary hearings to the Ethekwini executive made, and what's their attitude towards it? Because at times you find out that these officials are runners for this executive management. So I just want to check that.
Thank you, member, honorable member. The referrals were submitted in 2020, mostly in 2022, different months, but we're still awaiting the review results from the disciplinary board. The DCs have not commenced.
I think Honorable Maduna, we can surmise their attitude. Yeah, from the length of time. You know, so I'll make this example just to show how across municipalities, you know, processes are flouted. So one of the experiences I had directly at the bank, 2 municipalities in Gauteng, that, and this disposal of land issue is an extremely serious matter, because it also happens in the land reform, land restitution process, where land gets flipped and then the government buys it for beneficiaries at an inflated price. In countless instances, the council would not, there would be no council resolution on the disposal of land. There was a case where the municipality was acquiring land from a client. So I can't name, was acquiring land from a client. And one of the things that the bankers have to be certain about is that the council has resolved to acquire this land. In many instances, it would be a bank that says, go and convene council and have a resolution so that you can come back here. Otherwise, from the municipality's perspective, there is just no appetite to have a resolution. You know, things just happen in the normal course. And I found it shocking that it has to be a bank that tells the state to go and do its work. And those are instances where someone was awake enough at the bank to, you may find that when you do an audit of how many transactions like that have taken place, you find that there's a whole lot of transactions that have actually gone through because the person dealing with that transaction at the bank just didn't care to, you know, to check whether there was a council resolution. So thank you very much. I think this is helpful because these are specific instances, but I think it gives the committee a sense of what to even ask, you know, the AG to kind of specifically look at ahead of their presentation, just in general terms, in terms of some of the patterns that we see, because it's going to inform our oversight work as we go into the next oversight week and in future. So thank you very much. Let's take a body break for now. The time is 11:08. Can we come back at 11:25?
in the investigation while we're investigating. And in terms of the summary of finding, Chair, I think this one followed the same one for KZN, where we put it at a high level because it's finalized. And in terms of the finding, the supply of PPE were found to have been inflated. That is, the price was inflated, and there was irregularities in the award of contracts to a service provider in the municipality. Then in terms of the summary of outcomes, we have referred 4 NPA referrals for the contravention of the Municipal Financial Management Act, and also in the aspect relating to fraud. And the referral was against the MM, the CFO, a service provider, and the SCM manager at the municipality. Also, in terms of disciplinary referrals, we have referred 9, which was in relation to contravention of the Municipal Finance Management Act and the SCM policy of the municipality. And the level of official that we have made referrals against was the MM, CFO, Director Technical, the SCM manager, and Manager Transport and Engineering at the municipality. In terms of civil recovery, we have made a civil recovery to the value of 25.8 million, and this was done on the 27th of March 2024. And in terms of that process regarding the civil recovery, court paper has been issued to review and set aside the contract awarded to Ranch Trading, and Ranch and its lawyer have presented an offer without prejudice of settlement of the claim to the value of 750,000, of which it was not accepted by the SIU, and the respondent has filed their answering affidavit. The SIU Council is currently preparing a reply affidavit. So they did present an offer to the SIU as a form of settlement, and we did not accept the settlement, the offer which was made, of which we are proceeding with the civil litigation. Then in terms of general observation, we observed that there was non-implementation of SIU recommendation by the municipality. For example, the chief financial officer, no action was taken against the CFO until his term of contract expired. And the municipal manager, also no action was taken against him until his initial term expired. And he has been reappointed as the municipal manager of the same municipality now. The supply chain manager was suspended, hearing dates were postponed several times, and he ultimately resigned from the municipality without any action being taken against him. Transport engineering manager, no action was taken against him by the municipality. The director technical service, and also no action was taken against him by the municipality. And we also observed the misuse of regulation 36.1 of the SCM regulation, which was exploited to deviate from the normal procurement process under certain circumstances. So this investigation is finalized, Chair. That's the outcome that we have achieved in terms of this investigation. Thank you.
So basically what you're telling us, nobody gave a damn. No. Can I ask, because this is a matter we've dealt with as the committee broadly, these municipalities and so on, in terms of your funding model as a SIU, do they pay? Okay.
No, Chair. Most of them, they have not paid a single cent to the SIU. I think that relates to the OR Tambo, the Ngaka Modiri Mulema.
Ethekwini has paid a certain portion of the amount, but we're still in negotiating for the outstanding balance.
Okay, thank you. Members, I don't know if you have any questions. We'll go this way again.
Thank you, Chair. I think we welcome the report and appreciate the work done to put it through. I want to just say, I think maybe as a committee we need to find a way of making this work, because it's obviously not working. And we would be blind to ignore the reality that corruption is rife, and also it is, you know, some of this money that are taken from the municipalities, they get escalated to somebody and somebody pays off someone, you know, for many other reasons. So at different levels of government, people get involved in one way or the other. So because of the SIU not having the powers to prosecute, these recommendations, they lie dust in many instances. And they would refer to the relevant legislation. So we need to really discuss that. What legislations, maybe we need to have a session with SIU, I don't know, where they tell us, well, how can we capacitate them? Maybe we need to have a session with both SIU and the NPA and everybody, put all heads together for a day and say, come to us and tell us, how do we make this work? Because it's not working. We're speaking millions of monies here every day where no accountability takes place. But also, like I said in the earlier report, it would be interesting to know when these referrals were made so that we can play our oversight responsibility, call in the Minister of COGTA and call in everybody that we need to call in to say why were not decisions taken. And when they don't act, I want to just see clarity. Do they even send a response? Because sometimes when there are recommendations, you can say, no, I think you may have omitted this, or we know as an entity or as a municipality, we feel that we will not be taking action, just to acknowledge that we are not going to act. Or they accept them, and when they accept them, is it an acknowledgement of receipt of the report, or is it saying that to accept what you've presented to us as issues and we are committing to act on it? When they receive the report, what is the structure? Is it just acknowledgement of receipt, so we're signing? Or they sit down with the SIU and they say, okay, no, we see what you mean, and we are going to act on it. And then they don't act after that. But I think we need a different approach. Whilst we're political, or whilst we're government deployed from political organizations, we need to, as this committee, take a bit of a radical approach to these issues. I think I've said it not more than once, but maybe we'll sit some other time and discuss it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Natlala. Honorable Skosan.
Thank you, Chair. You know, these matters, as I said earlier, that are so complex, is that the tribunal judge, especially in the matters related to the so-called PEEs, I think in 2 provinces there were frustration because some of these things are being used against some people. They feel like they paint them into one brush, even those who are innocent. But those who are guilty, as you said that just now, that the CFO, nothing happened to him or her. The municipal manager is again a municipal manager, so it means they are continuing where they left off. There's no consequences at all. Now, the biggest question for me, you know the Mandela funeral, Nelson Mandela Metro, Buffalo City Metro, OR Tambo, and I think there were four municipalities. They were found wanting. But let me tell you something, about that, is that unfortunately that our system, the problem is the system itself. They take you to court. I mean, you remember Premier Oscar Mabuyane went to court and interdicted you guys to, the Hawks, not to be arrested, and he was granted an order. Now, it discourages an ordinary person on the ground. But I think it's the legislation, it's us as lawmakers, which we have to look on these matters, Chair. Because really, if you are backing, you can't bite. Be rest assured, the show will go on. People are going to do that and repeat because they know they are more sophisticated. Remember, most of our problems, and we always say that, we need people who've got PhD and master's degree. And the more they are qualified, the more they are more complicated for them to siphon the state. They will siphon the state like there's no tomorrow. But I'm happy that what you said now, that we are able to go to the bank. You are not following a person, you are following the money. And I think if we are not following people, that would be the best strategy. But let's follow this money, because if you pay me today, whatever millions of rands, we can always trace that money until the last cent. But for us to continue saying the same thing as I said earlier about the time frames, because you can see that the state is being milked by our own people. Those people we trust that they will be able to give service to our people are milking the state. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Skosan. Honorable Kubega.
I think no comments for me to the SIU team, Chair. There's nothing to speak. The comment would be to you and to us as a committee, that I think we need to look at what we are here to do. I think we need to review that thoroughly, because at the end of the day, the SIU will be here every day and will be just saying, you. And that'll be it. That cannot be our function for the next 5 years. It can't be. We need to sit down. We need to review why we're here. We need to lobby where we need to lobby to get the right prosecuting authorities, whether they join us here or we, for instance, give the SIU, the prosecuting authorities, or other entities such as the Hawks and the SIU, such that what we do here means something. Otherwise, we'll just be a talk shop. We'll be dogs with no teeth, dogs that are just barking. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Blose.
No, thanks, Chair. I see Honorable Kubega is already defeated. You can see in the posture with his eyes giving up. He's like, as in, it's too much. Yeah, no, Chair. Honorable Maduna, in defense of comrades, so he would say, politicians are not corrupt. They are corrupted by officials. And the SIU report is vindicating him to some level of extent. So I don't know whether we need to agree with him or not.
We don't have to agree.
Because it's the municipal managers, it's the CFOs, SCM managers that just keep coming up, Chair. But obviously then it means that the politicians in the respective layers of government are also complicit, because they are to provide oversight and put a cap on these things. So, yeah, I think, Chair, we must emphasize, man, I'm sure the advocates in absentia and the team, maybe even now in passing, could tell us in terms of how we could empower them to further implement these recommendations. Because like the fellow committee members are saying, Chair, it doesn't really assist us to just keep saying, wow, there ought to be accountability. And the lack of accountability is what perpetuates these corruption activities. And now, even if you look, there was a slide I was looking at here that was speaking about the general observations. I mean, there's no implementations of all these recommendations, no action taken against the CFO, supply chain manager. So there's nothing that has been done which has been recommended by the SIU. So I think we might need a session where the SIU will tell us that we do our job to this level and then we can't take it further. But if we can be empowered by so and so, and then as members of parliament, we can then look at whatever we need to, even if it's legislative changes that we need to do, we might have to look at that and see what we can do. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Pila.
Thank you, Chairperson. As we are welcoming the presentation by the SIU, one can say that I think time is now for our municipalities to implement the recommendation by the SIU or any other investigating unit that has been appointed in the municipality. Because when we check here, the municipal manager and all those officials that have been mentioned there, I think is the responsibility of the council as the highest decision making body of the municipality to charge them. But some were there until their term expired. Some were reappointed to come and continue from where they left. And then one was supply chain manager was suspended, and I think it was supposed to be the municipal manager and the CFO who will be supposed to be suspended at that time. But all in all, as I'm saying, I think the mayor, the speaker, and the chief whip in all municipalities must take charge in implementing the recommendation, SIU. Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Neil May.
No, thank you very much, and thank you for the presentation. I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking with the amendment to the Public Audit Act, which the AG can report on material irregularities. And obviously within that act, the accounting officers are held responsible for any loss to the state. And looking at now that the city that manages back there now, could this not then be a perfect case to charge, to actually implement the Public Audit Act amendment, that we could reclaim the money back from the accounting officer? Because the whole idea was to hold the accounting officers accountable. And I think one of the things possibly that we are not doing is actually going and holding them accountable for what is happening in their municipalities. And then this one might be a case that one can do. How would you and the AG work together in possibly looking at this particular act and seeing if one can actually do it? I'm not sure if it has been done yet, but the act was amended specifically to look at funds lost to the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Neil May. Honorable Maduna.
No, thanks, Chair. Chair, I think this is a perfect example whereby the National Treasury should apply the Section 100 of the Constitution, which is at some point, such municipalities, you need to take over their finances. And I think it's been a rare occurrence to see that happening. That's one. I think as well, I was going to concur with Honorable Neil that we really need to apply that amendment to the Public Act as per AG. We need to hold these people accountable. They must pay for all that money since they've not taken action. That's fine. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Skosan.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Chair. And thanks to the SIU team again on this report of Ngaka Modiri Mulema Municipality. Yeah, Chair, I Honorable Pila, that in this case, the council has failed dismally. Because if the SIU make recommendations that actions need to be taken against the MM, the CFO, the technical manager, it is only the council that can take disciplinary actions against the three municipal managers and managers that account directly to the municipal manager. It's only the council that can discipline them, nobody else. So in this case, it means the council has failed dismally. And it's unfortunate that we're talking about the previous council, obviously, because there's a new council that came in November 2021. So I assume that these cases were before that time. It's quite unfortunate, you see. But we might have to consider getting the MEC of Kokta from that province of Northwest to look at the matter, to say in this case the council has failed dismally. Well, with the other managers, obviously, supply chain management, and the other manager responsible for transport engineering, well, there's a responsibility of the MM. But the other three, it was the responsibility of the council. And it's a pity that it's a previous council. But we might have to consider getting, maybe the question that I must maybe first ask, to say when we are dealing with matters like this and where you've got recommendations that there should be steps that are taken against the MM and other senior managers that are accountable to the, directly account to the MM, do you also inform the MEC of Kokta in relation to that, so that if the council does not act, because the next person then is the MEC who has been given responsibility by the provincial government. If the council doesn't act, then the next person is the MEC. So do you also inform the MEC in relation to that? And I think as a committee, depending on the answer, we might have to consider inviting the MEC in relation to this particular matter. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thanks, Honourable Skosana. Honourable Atkinson.
Thanks very much, Chair, and thanks again to the SIU for the work that's been done in this matter. Yeah, look, I think similarly to everyone else, my concern is the fact that all these people have been found effectively guilty of contravening regulations and various other deeds, and that no action's been taken against them by the council. So the council really is being delinquent in a sense by not ensuring that the that there's a correct result for these actions. So I would support my colleague in saying, in instances where the councils actually don't act, that these matters should automatically go through to the MEC for Kokta for that particular province. And also another thought as well is that if there are findings brought against municipal officials, that there's some sort of national blacklist against these people, because as so often happens, people leave a municipality, then go on to another one and carry out their dirty deeds somewhere else. So we need to stop this. So if people are found guilty, I think as a country we need to set up a roster, and that whenever anyone's employed in a municipality, their name's got to be checked against this roster to see if their action's outstanding against them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, honourable members. So I'm just going to give you, SIU team, a chance to respond, make final remarks. What we'll likely do is release you. There are just some process matters that we will discuss as a committee for ourselves, so that we don't detain you while we're having that discussion. Of course, you're welcome to stay if you so wish, but I just want to make clear that you are not constrained from leaving thereafter. Yes.
No, thank you, Honourable Chair. We have taken note of the comment from honourable members, and I think the first one is I think it will apply to all of them. We will submit a list of all the referrals, the DC one, with the date, so that the committee can know when did we refer for each and every municipality, the one that we have did. And also on the issue of the non-implementation is that the only thing that we have is the power for civil litigation, of which it's working for some extent, but we do agree, Chair, that we will really appreciate if the committee can look on the issue of the more power for the implementation of the recommendation. It will really go a long way to make sure that action is taken across, not only on the issue of the civil recovery, but disciplinary, it's been done. One of the processes that we are currently doing is we make sure that we have a session with the Premier where we inform them. We also have a session with the MEC of Kokta in the province where we inform them. But in most instances, you find that we brief the MEC and the MEC say we'll take action. then within 2-3 months he's reshuffled, there's a new one, we must go and rebrief them again. So there hasn't been any action at all. I mean, also the commitment, and I think we'll really appreciate in terms of if we can see our recommendation be implemented, we appreciate that. But otherwise, I think all of the other questions, Chair, were more of a comment, and we have taken note of them, and we'll see to it how we make sure that we continue to escalate all this matter, and ultimately I think action will be taken. And also the issue of us working together with the presidency in terms of making sure that our recommendations are implemented. I think it's another thing where they are trying to put a mechanism for tracking all our recommendations so that they don't fall away. I think it's something that will work going forward. But we do appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I really wish to thank you for the work that you do. I don't think the circumstances are easy in some of the areas, given how brazen and sometimes violent the people can get because they don't want to be held accountable. So I just want to say that I think you can see by the number of complaints that you get, people can see an institution that is doing the right thing, that takes this work very seriously. And I'm sure you get all manner of complaints because people feel they have nowhere else to go. They want to go to the institution that works. So we recognize your work. We thank the fact that your presentations are always detailed and your briefings very thorough. So we really value your professionalism and dedication. And thank you very much for being here. And I'm sure this is not the last time that we are talking, but it's going to be the Auditor General's turn next on the same matters so that they can then complete our picture, because they'll give us a broader understanding of the governance environment in these municipalities so that we can then proceed with oversight. Thank you so much. You're free to go. Honourable members, we're just going to have our own conversation about a process. So, and kind of this part may still come. So, one of my colleagues is in the Chiefs Forum. So the intention was to have a session for us on the 5th, right? For us, so that all of these matters that we're discussing, our approach, the rest of the program, properly and so on, it appears that there may be a constituency break on the same week. Now, I can just commit to having getting the final decision, one way or the other, from Parliament to see what Parliament's program will. Thank you so much. What Parliament's program will be during that week. I am just worried that we are going to lose time. So what I commit to doing is that if we are the program is interrupted in any